Through the public charge rule, President Trump's administration is reinforcing the ideals of self-sufficiency.
The Trump administration's new green card policy aims to ensure that legal immigrants don't become a public charge or a burden on taxpayers. But will the new policy save taxpayers money, or will it actually hurt the economy?
Bringing people to join us who will not be reliant on the welfare system.
The new rule denies green cards and visa extensions for applicants who are using or are deemed likely to use in the future food stamps, housing assistance, Medicaid, and several other benefits. The administration estimates that nearly 400,000 people will drop out of these programs as a result of the rule, and that will save the government around $1.5 billion a year, according to DHS. But economists and immigration experts told me the new policy doesn't make a lot of sense as a savings tool.
If I was sitting in the federal government and I wanted to save money, this would not be the first place I would look.
Pia Arrhenius of the Federal Reserve Bank of Dallas says states and cities with large immigrant populations will simply pick up the tab.
When you're spending less on health care at the federal level, then that's going to have to be made up for at the state and local level.
That's one of the reasons that 20 states have recently sued the administration. They argue that beyond taking on the costs for people who cancel federal benefits, they'll also experience a prevalence of disease and increased poverty.
But the system begins to fall apart in a hurry if folks are afraid to access benefits they are entitled to.
Washington Attorney General Bob Ferguson leads one of the lawsuits against the new rule. That lawsuit says the rule's chilling effect will lead to families forfeiting health insurance, medical care, and nutrition assistance, not only for themselves, but also for their entire households.
What happens when folks lose access to health care? They are not going in for their checkups. They're not going in when they have a small medical problem. What happens is there's a large medical problem that happens, and now you're in an emergency room, and the cost to the taxpayers of a state are immense as a result of that.
The states also argue the rule could be a job killer. A 2018 UCLA report says the reduced flow of federal benefits in California could cost the states almost 18,000 jobs, nearly half of them in healthcare.
With fewer people using services, jobs will then be lost. And as people, start to fall out of that system, the whole infrastructure kind of will shrink.
But even though DHS says the rule may benefit the US economy, it also says that the point of the rule is not to save money. Rather, it says the rule is meant to minimize the incentive for people to immigrate due to the availability of public benefit. Still, the rule by design favors educated and high-skilled immigrants over low-skilled ones, a goal long championed by some conservatives.
Our system is just not very responsive to the changing needs of our economy and also the changing realities of a stratified society in which people with very low incomes are oftentimes struggling.
The US currently grants about 1.1 million green cards or permanent resident visas every year. About 62% go to immigrants with relatives in the US, and only 14% go to immigrants with job offers. The new rule could reverse that trend, and conservatives say that will be beneficial in the long term, including for the states.
Basic logic will tell you that people who are better educated and come with marketable skills are far more likely to be successful.
Ira Melman, a spokesperson for a group that lobbies for immigration restrictions, argues that automation is gradually eliminating the jobs that poorer immigrants typically rely on.
These are also the types of jobs that all economic forecasts tell us will be phasing out in the next decade or two.
That being said, Arrhenius says US employers in industries that rely heavily on that workforce, such as agriculture, landscaping, and construction, are experiencing record job shortages.
So really, for the first time, we're seeing significant shortages in low and mid-scale workers. And that really hamstrings the economy. It's a bottleneck to growth. It prevents firms from hiring and expanding. It prevents investment. We have these labor shortages. Well, then we have to satiate or address that demand in some other way, hopefully a legal way.